few minutes. Um, and that means that we don't have a functioning Congress at the moment. I mean, basically, um, Jim Jordan, the extremist, insurrectionist, coup attempter candidate, has lost, and he says he's going to keep at it. I guess he's trying to follow in Kevin McCarthy's footsteps. It took McCarthy 15 tries to become Speaker. We're going to be on try number 3 next for Jordan. But the thing is, his numbers are going down instead of up. And I guess because of the partisan politics of Washington, we cannot get Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, even though every vote he's had the most votes, every single tally. Well, it's just 2 so far, but he's short about 8 that he would need to actually, maybe a little less than 8. I think he had 212 last time to Jordan's 199, but you have to have half of the amount of people, half plus 1 vote of the amount of people that vote. So it was 433, I think, in the last tally. So he would have to have it like at least, I think it's 417 or 418 to win, 217 or 218 to win. He's at 212. I don't know where he could find 5 Republicans that would switch over. Probably not possible. But I love the fact that this well-prepared black man is winning every time. I love, love, love that. Even though he doesn't technically win, he still has the most votes. I like looking at the leaderboard and seeing that. So I guess we're going to see what happens. I don't, they're talking about maybe empowering the Speaker pro tem. I don't see that happening. I guess a candidate would have to emerge that everyone could agree on. I don't see that happening. Most of the other people have 1 or 2 or, 5 votes. So we are at a standstill at the moment, and it's not so terrible. It is terrible. It's not so terrible right now, but it's going to get a lot more problematic if this thing drags on. Really interesting article in the New York Times yesterday about American household wealth. And as they're looking and reflecting on what actually happened during the coronavirus, sort of the most hardcore period of the coronavirus pandemic, American household wealth actually increased. And it's weird because so many people lost their jobs and people were struggling to stay housed and everything else. But apparently, because the job market was strong and home prices went up, stock prices went up at record rates, it increased the net worth, the wealth of Americans, along with the stimulus, of course, that American families actually saw the biggest jump in their wealth on record between 2019 and 2022. That is a story that I hadn't heard, hadn't seen that data. In fact, I would have thought just the opposite. And usually when I hear this kind of statistic, I think, okay, that's not going to hold for black people. That's going to be just the general market. It's not going to hold for black people. What's really bizarre about this data, which is coming from the feds, from their survey of consumer finances, is that black people actually benefited more than others in terms of their net gains in wealth. This federal report is considered, the top of the top when it comes to data about wealth and income for Americans. And this is the first time this report has come out since we started this COVID period in 2019. The job market has been booming. Unemployment has been low. So when we look at the big picture, we've seen financial progress. What's also weird about this data is that it seems to have helped the very, very low income end of the spectrum in black people, and then the very rich. The middle class, not so much. The income rose across all of the groups, all economic groups between 2019 and 2022. But the biggest gains were at the top, and that's not new. We know that. We know that the very rich, the billionaires, profited during coronavirus, whether it's Jeff Bezos because we all started shopping online instead of going to stores, or whether it was people that were able to make these massive investments, people who had holdings, in the pharmaceuticals or whatever it might have been, that the top 1% or 1/10 of 1% made goo gobs of money during the pandemic. But what I hadn't seen was that folks at the bottom did a little better here, and that African Americans actually saw some gains here. People in the bottom corner of income had a net worth of $3,500 in 2022, which is very low, but it's up $400 from 2019, which is almost 10%. People in the top 10%, their worth climbed up to $3.79 million, up from $3 million. So they saw almost a 25% rise in their income. So we can see that it's much, much stronger for people at the top, but even people in other places. Black families' median net worth, meaning half the people make more and half the people make less, rose 60%. That's a huge jump. 60%. It was bigger than the increase for white families, which was at 31, bigger than the increase for Latino families, which was at 47. Well, you could say it's because we started lower, and that's true. But in terms of the percentage amount of increase, Black families actually saw massive gains during the years of the coronavirus. What does it mean? What do you think it means? Where do we go from here? Of course, that data is a little bit dated because it's, reflecting those 2021-22 years. But it shows you that we actually, even though psychologically and in terms of our physical health, we are still suffering these setbacks, that apparently financially folks are doing better than expected. What does that translate into long term, especially with this inflation? Well, time will tell, but it certainly is a silver lining in some very big clouds. I'm Dominique DiPrima. 800-920-1580. That's the number to call if you want to get in on this or any other conversation. This is the place where we're amplifying Black and progressive voices around the clock. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
It's a different world at Pasadena City College. Come find out why during PCC's On the Yard HBCU Caravan, happening Tuesday, October 24th from 4 to 6 p.m. on the Colorado Boulevard campus of Pasadena City College. Over 20 historically Black colleges and universities will be on campus, and some colleges will be offering on-the-spot admissions. You heard that right, on the spot. All you need to do is bring your unofficial transcripts. So come to PCC's On the Yard HBCU Caravan for the opportunity to win scholarships and prizes, enjoy some mouth-watering DD's Chicken Cat Shack, and tasty burgers from Fat Boys for free. It's all happening on Tuesday, October 24th. The HBCU Caravan is proudly presented by PCC's Transfer Center, Office of Inclusion, Equity, Diversity, and Justice, and the California Community Colleges, Chancellor's Historically Black Colleges, and Universities Initiative. For more information, visit pasadena.edu/HBCU or call 626-585-7287.
Pro football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season, so he does two things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing,
two things at once,
Or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
Two things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer.
King C. Gillette knows you're dedicated to your barbershop routine. But what about after? What's your routine for facial hair to avoid dry skin, itching, and beard rough? Well, the King C. Gillette Beard Oil is a perfect fit for making your beard feel as good as it looks. It softens your facial hair and moisturizes to help prevent itch due to dry skin. Get facial hair that feels as good as it looks. Just trim, wash, and soften. With King C. Gillette.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It continues right now. One thing I wanted to say further about the numbers that we're seeing on American household wealth. Interestingly, it's the first time they've ever tracked Asian Americans. They had the highest household wealth numbers of any group, interestingly, ethnic group in the United States. And this is making economists hopeful that maybe we don't have to fall into recession, which would be a good thing. Let's go to Fred calling us from the Crenshaw district. Good morning, Fred.
Oh, good morning, Sister Dominic. How you doing, my sister?
I'm blessed. What's on your mind, Fred?
Oh, yeah, the speakership, I know that Republicans probably don't want to do this, but this is a suggestion. Why not have Hakeem Jeffries up there? He can work it out with the Democrats and Republicans. Now, we got the election coming up in a few months. The Republicans are going to be blamed for the fact that they don't have no speaker. They oust Kevin McCarthy. I was reading the paper there. They said that when they get a speaker, they may have to work with the Democrats. What is your take on that?
I think it's a great idea. I think Hakeem Jeffries should be speaker, but I do not think it's going to happen, Fred, because there's no Republican that's going to risk their seat, risk their reputation. They're worried about losing votes. They're worried about being able to be bashed by other more conservative Republicans for working with Democrats at all. And I think for that reason, it's probably not going to happen. We'd need to find five or six. We need 5 or 6, I think, Republicans that were ready to, because all the Dems voted for Jeffries. So we need 5 or 6 Republicans to vote for Jeffries. And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, okay, it was just a thought. I thought, the economy's looking real good. Did you know that as of January 1st, people on Social Security were getting anywhere between $55 to $59 a month? Now, see, if we had a Republican president in there, that would not happen. I know Joe Biden is kind of old, but people got to remember when Ronald Reagan ran for re-election, shoot, the man was darn near 7, 9, 80 years old. I'm going to say age has nothing to do with it. If you can do the job, go for it. I know you got a lot of calls lined up, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll try to get on next Thursday at the same time.
All right, Fred, I appreciate you. By the way, I think it's a great idea. I just don't think it's likely to happen. And certainly Hakeem Jeffries is more prepared to be speaker than anyone in the Republican Party, except possibly Kevin McCarthy or Boehner, who got, I think, 1 vote, because they've done the job before. Yeah. Molly Bell just texted me. Hey, Molly Bell, I know you're probably going to call me tomorrow. She wanted to remind me to talk about Sidney Powell pleading guilty in the Georgia election case. That is a big, huge deal because it's not good news for the former president, he who shall not be named. They're recommending a sentence of 6 years probation, and she'll be required to testify at future trials and write an apology letter to the citizens of Georgia. That's part of her guilty plea deal. She's admitting her role in the January 2021 breach of the election systems in Georgia, Coffee County, which is out in the country there, and talking about how she accessed and copied information from the county election systems and trying to prove that the election was rigged against Trump. If you remember back then, Sidney Powell was the most way out there, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, the most far-fetched of the conspiracy theorists. She was very adamant in her views about the election being stolen, and now she is pleading guilty. She's the second person to do so, but certainly the closest person to the former president. Bail bondsman Scott Hall pleaded guilty last month and said he would testify at future trials. There are other defendants, 17 of them, including the former president. They have all pleaded not guilty, but now we're up to 2, and I would say it's a big deal because Sidney Powell was a very close advisor to Donald J. Trump. Let's go to Dwight from the city of Compton. Good morning, Dwight.
Good morning, Dominique, Hotep. Good morning to all the KBLA listeners out there and the hardworking postal workers out there. Dominique, you are so right. It appears that black people were doing better during the coronavirus because there was a child tax credit that took so many poor children out of poverty, and they should have just left that program alone. And these Republicans always looking out for rich billionaires that bribe them and do vote for everything against poor and working class people. And then there was a hold on student loan payments.
Right.
Helping poor and working class people shows that America would be doing much better by focusing on poor and working class and let rich and billionaires and millionaires pay a small percentage of their wealth to taxes. I'm even concerned about Elon Musk doing all these space flights for us and having the satellites over Ukraine, turning them on and off when he chooses to help Russia. If that's dangerous right there, because say he decides to just take his whole program and sell it to another country one day. I mean, it's dangerous. NASA should be running our program. The government should be running our program. Sure, they can get innovation from private industry too, but if it wasn't for the government, they fought to free the slaves. I mean, if we let wealthy people run everything and hold everything, they're going to be totally against everything for poor and working class and give everything to rich people. Right now, I'm still kicked off of Facebook because I guess I complained too much about Donald Trump and about the January 6th committee, and whenever something happened on one of the stations that proved that things that we already know. I mean, how much more facts do you know? You don't believe your own eyes. We saw it happen on January 6th.
Yeah.
But Dominique, if America would just help poor and working class people, reinstate the child tax credit, and if the Republicans would have just let the student loan debts be wiped out, I mean, it was going to benefit mostly poor and working class people. Even President Obama had took a long time for him to pay his debt off. But Dominique, it's so obvious, and I just pray everyone please go to vote.gov and register to vote, or either go to Yes We Can, Michelle Obama's website.
When we all vote. When we all vote.
Yeah, when we all vote, yes. And please vote. Don't let these Republicans tell you your vote doesn't count. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't try so hard to take it from us. People wouldn't have died. Fannie Lou Hamer. I mean, the civil rights workers that got killed in Pennsylvania, Mississippi.
It's a good point, Dwight. And by the way, if you think that both parties are the same, which I don't agree, but if you do, then don't vote the top of the ticket. Don't vote president, but vote everything else. You still need to vote your local. You still need to vote your ballot initiatives. You pick and choose what you vote on your ballot. So don't just, throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to the voting process. Yeah.
Exactly, Dominique. Our vote does matter.
It does, absolutely.
We're trying to have a democracy, not
It's not the only thing that matters, but it does matter. Yeah. I mean, voting is like the minimum.
The minimum. Get out there and protest. Support Danny Blackwell's Taste of Soul. Support the Sentinel newspaper. Support black businesses. If you see if you go to a store, if you can, look for a black person to help you. Just do all we can to help ourselves.
Yeah, blackety black. And proud of it, by the way. You got to cut through the BS. If we don't support each other, who will? If we don't believe in each other, who will? If we don't invest in each other, no one will. A lot of great points, Dominique. Dwight. A lot of great points, as usual.
Thank you, Dominique. And one last thing, Dominique. I just want to say, racism is so obvious every day. From the Alabama senator holding up all President Biden's top appointees, and many of those top appointees are black, like Charles Brown, Joint Chiefs of Staff appointment. Racism, and he never served one day in the military. That's what's so sad about it. And they got to change that rule. One person shouldn't be able to attack the United States like that. But closing, Dominique, thank you for all the information you give us. Love the best radio station on the planet, KBLA. Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you. Appreciate you. So President Joe Biden is giving an Oval Office address. You hear him talk all the time. I get that. But the Oval Office address is kind of a big deal, right? They don't happen all the time. And that is happening. Why? We'll look at that. We'll talk about what happened, on his trip. Did President Biden make a difference? Was it worth his trouble traveling to the Middle East? We'll talk about that. We can talk about whatever is on your mind. Are you tracking Joran Vandersloot and the fact that he finally confessed? I feel like this case has been going on for about 50 years. He finally confessed to killing Natalie Holloway as part of his plea deal that happened in 2005. So many breaking and important news stories that we will get a chance to talk about when we come forward. Right now, though, going to Rhonda, calling me from the city of Inglewood. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Dominique. I miss you. Can you hear me good? Because I'm on the earbud.
I do hear you good, yes.
Okay, good morning. And, so I just wanted to say, as far as what's the sweet little man that called in? I'm sorry. He just called in and he was talking about the voting in the House with the Republicans.
You're talking about Dwight from Compton?
No, the older man.
Fred from Crenshaw.
Okay, Fred. Okay, I wanted to comment on what he was saying, and I'm going to be really quick because it just drives me nuts every day. I talk about it and tweet about whatever. But there are 18 Republicans in a deep blue majority landslide won Biden district. So what Biden and his people, his advisors, I don't know what they're thinking. There are 18 of them, and it's not slim leads that he won. There's 18 in the House. There's no way they shouldn't fear, Biden campaign in their district with commercials and ads against them. There are 18, Dominique. We could have a super majority. They should not have that privilege or that right, but because the Democrats don't go hard, don't play, dirty like the Republicans, they think we're weak. They think they're weak. They never get the messaging out. There are 18 of them.
That's a great point. Hold that thought, Rhonda. I want to see. I want to follow that thought through. What you're really saying is we could take the House. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Welcome to a Thursday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Authorities say about 500 Jewish activists supporting Palestinians were arrested Wednesday at the U.S. Capitol. They were protesting what organizer Jewish Voice for Peace calls Israel's ongoing oppression of Palestinians. The arrests took place inside the Capitol Rotunda around the Capitol complex. Actor Will Smith paid a surprise visit to Baltimore, Maryland last night to join a book lecture by his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Her memoir, titled Worthy, was released Tuesday. The African-American Baltimore native was giving a presentation at a library when her husband walked out on stage to greet her. His appearance came days after Pinkett Smith told the Baltimore Sun that a 6-year estrangement between the couple was over and they have worked on repairing their relationship. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
At your Amazon Fresh store, you can rely on roasted chicken for $4.97, 2-pound bunches of bananas for 99 cents, French bread for 89 cents, and more. Visit your local Amazon Fresh store for low prices from A to Z and head to Amazon.com/savewithfresh to see this week's deals.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Las Vegas Aces won their second straight WNBA championship. They beat the New York Liberty last night to win the finals in 4 games. The Aces are the first back-to-back champs in the WNBA since Lisa Leslie and the LA Sparks did it in 2001 and 2002. Rams starting cornerback Darian Kendrick was charged with 2 misdemeanors for carrying a concealed weapon and a loaded firearm. Police found a gun in Kendrick's car early Monday morning after he was pulled over for a traffic violation in Hollywood. Rams coach Sean McVay said Kendrick will not practice or play until his legal situation is resolved. Kendrick is due back in court on December 5th. James Harden was a no-show at practice yesterday in Philadelphia. He's doing whatever he can to get the Sixers to trade him to the Clippers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Dom Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility, not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
What's up? I'm Danelle Riley, FAMU alumni and creator of the HBCU Culture Shop. I am so proud of my new partnership with Black Beyond Measure and Target. They help me elevate community pride with my HBCU designs and continue to support Black creators and entrepreneurs with Target HBCU challenges, scholarship programs, and campus collaborations.
Let's come together this homecoming season and beyond. Shop my brand and discover other Black-owned products at target.com/blackbeyondmeasure.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. I started off the hour just talking about the stalemate in the U.S. House of Representatives. We don't have a speaker. We're on vote number 3 coming up. It doesn't look like a deal is imminent. And Rhonda was saying we've got 18 Republican lawmakers who won in states where Joe Biden won by a landslide, which means they should be leaning to the moderate side of Republican. So your point is that we should be able to peel off 6 of those and elect Hakeem Jeffries? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, at least you would think if they had enough respect for their constituents, who voted them in, that they would, with all the chaos, you would think that they would get pressured. They shouldn't wait until election year to start pressuring those, those GOPers in blue districts. Like, it's really, at the minimum 5. If there's 18, that should feel the pain,
I mean, it's a great point, Rhonda. I just think when you talk about Republicans, if they really broke ranks to the point of voting for Hakeem Jeffries, they're going to be primaried for sure, right?
But that's okay because it's Biden won districts, and people understand that Biden is, the best candidate at this point. I think moderates and independents, so-called independents and swing voters are tired of the chaos of the GOP, and I know that they feel safer. They don't probably want to admit it. They feel safer in the Democratic leadership, and they just need to do the right thing. They do.
I mean, it's a really important point, too, in terms of, this is what I keep saying, that Trump's approval ratings remain high, but I feel that they will erode because I agree with you, Rhonda, that the independents and normal Republicans are going to start getting worn down as more and more of these trials move forward, as we have to process these images and the actual details of the crimes that this guy has committed. I think it will erode his popularity around the edges. And that applies to what you're saying. Why couldn't we weave people, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, intellectually strong-arm these folks into voting for a Hakeem Jeffries? We only need, I think, 5 more. We only need 5 more votes to have a Speaker Jeffries, which would be wild. I mean, he still wouldn't be able to get anything done for the most part because Republicans do have this slim 5-vote majority. But at least we'd have a speaker that was competent and experienced.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. The chaos is too much. It's, it's just a threat to our national security. It's just too much going on. They're just, they need to put the pressure on, those 18 Republicans, whatever. I don't believe there's moderate Republicans anymore. But
same. Moderate is relative, right? I mean, right. Why can't we have in the House of Representatives the Republican version of a Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, who are Republicans, but I mean, they claim to be Democrats, but they're always siding with Republicans. We just need about few of those that are Republicans, but side with Democrats, at least on the question of speaker. Because even, Jim Jordan is an extremist. I mean, he was a backer of that coup. So if they somehow got those votes whipped and they managed to elect him, he's not going to be able to get anything done either.
He doesn't want to. He just wants
Well,
to
yeah,
chaos.
that's a good point, too.
He
He's
doesn't want
Mr.
to.
Obstruction, yeah. That's a great point. So even if he wanted to, he probably couldn't, because
And this is, John Bain called him a legislative terrorist, and that's exactly what he is. He's been there 18 years, never passed anything, never, he's just there to destroy. 18 years. That's sick. That's crazy.
This
That's
18,
crazy.
it keeps coming up. 18 Republicans, 18 years. We need, I think, 118 or 117 votes to get Jeffries across the finish line. I don't see it happening, Rhonda, but I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you because, number one, Democrats, we do need to learn to play a little bit more hardball. And number two, I don't know what that looks like, but certainly there have to be ways to pressure these supposedly normal or mainstream Republicans into siding with Democrats for the good of the nation.
Ads, they love their power. Put ads in their communities. They're bragging on how much Biden raised. He needs to spend that money really in those 18 districts because we could have a supermajority in the House if they bow. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Well, hopefully that's the least that comes out of this nightmare and this, electing the speaker and in the clown show that is the so-called Freedom Caucus, is that hopefully Republicans will cost themselves the Congress in 24. They will lose.
And it drives me crazy that they call them Freedom Caucus. How did they ever get that name? That drives me nuts. That really drives me nuts.
I mean, that's typical of Republicans, though. They like to name things the opposite of what they are in hopes of fooling people, which they sometimes do. I can't remember the exact name, but Proposition 209 was something like the Civil Rights Affirmation Bill or something, when it was really banning affirmative action. That is what Republicans do so well. They'll call it the Patriot Act when it's really about, stripping you of your freedoms as a patriot. I mean, that's what they specialize in. That's their talking point jam.
Mm-hmm. True. Democrats are weak and silent, if you ask me, because we need to go harder, especially these days. There's no other time. It's dangerous.
Well, I think we're getting the message. I think some Democrats are getting the message. I believe the younger folks, the progressives, and the Black people of color are starting to get the message that playing Mr. Nice Guy like what Obama did leaves us with an extreme court instead of a Supreme Court, leaves us without a women's right to choose what happens with their own bodies, leaves us with the erosion and undermining of voting rights, leaves us with no comprehensive reimagining and reforming of law enforcement in this country. That Mr. Nice Guy approach that, I hate to say it, forever First Lady, but sometimes we need to go low. Not as low as they go, but low enough to fight back and don't show up, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I know it's violent analogy, but it's one of my favorites because I think sometimes we show up, like Charlie Brown with his football. We show up like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, expecting everyone to play fair and do something different this time. And they're going to do what they've always done. For them, by any means necessary, includes unscrupulous, shady means. Lying when the truth will do. That is the brand now of the United States Republican Party. And so I think you're right. We need to put pressure on those members of that party who don't believe in the values of if you can call them values, of lying, cheating, stealing their way to power, grasping when they see that their numbers are diminishing. So the Oval Office speech, Biden will make it today. Why is he doing it? Oval Office speeches are a big deal. He's only done it one other time in his presidency. They're usually, they're usually pretty serious business. Well, apparently, President Biden is going to ask us, the American people, ask Congress, our representative, to approve $100 billion for Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and to beef up the U.S.-Mexico border. $100 billion to fight other people's wars and for security. Now, he's going to make the case, and I'll be listening intently, why those aren't other people's wars, why they matter to the United States, why we, the citizens of the United States who have our own problems, should pay to bolster Israel's Iron Dome, should pay to help Ukraine overcome Russia, should pay to help Taiwan in their quest to maintain their independence, should pay to militarize the border, even though we've seen it to be very ineffective as a means of anything, really, as a means of improving our system of immigration, of improving our security. That's what he wants. That's why he's going to the Oval Office, $100 billion with a B. And it just so happens that's the exact amount of money we would need to restore the child tax credit for low-income folks. $100 billion is the cost, meaning you can draw a direct parallel. We can give the guy $100 billion right now for weapons for Ukraine, weapons for Israel, boosting security at the border, and boosting Taiwan. Or we could spend that $100 billion and get 4 million American children out of poverty for 1 year. For me, the answer is clear. If you're asking me, the American taxpayer, of which I am one, I would like my $100 billion to go to feed American children and get them out of poverty. I do believe we need to stand with our allies. I do believe we need to stand up for Ukraine's sovereignty. Overhaul our immigration system. But if I have $100 billion in my family budget and I have to choose between a security system and feeding the kids, I'm going to choose feeding the kids 7 days out of a 7-day week. Love to hear your thoughts on this or anything else we are currently talking about. Maybe something we haven't even touched on yet. 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580, unapologetically progressive.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The Green Foundation, key health influencer, empowering our Black communities through action. The Green Foundation advocates for affordable health care, accessibility, and knows the importance of culturally relatable health care. Regardless of income, we believe it is a right for optimum health. The Green Foundation has been at the forefront for 25 years, dedicated solely to promoting prevention through early detection, annual screenings, and nutrition. We know you because we are you. Our hand-holding approach supports you and your family to receive your right to be treated fairly and receiving quality healthcare services. We want you and your family to know COVID-19 was devastating to our families and to our wallet. We can build back better by understanding prevention, wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, and understanding the impact of long COVID. Get the care you deserve. Take advantage of your privileges. Contact us, info@thegreenfoundation.net. info@thegreenfoundation.net.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community. by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. It is the perfect time to call me. And I think I always love to hear what you have to say. The president to give an Oval Office address today. It's a big deal. He'll ask for money for war, but can't feed the poor. That's how it feels to me. I know it's important to stand with Ukraine. I feel like we've already spent billions. I don't know what the total is, haven't looked at that number today, but it is in the tens of billions. I know that our annual expenditure on Israel is in the billions, and that we consistently support Taiwan, and that we've been spending on our border. But Biden wants wartime dollars in the amount of $100 million. I think they're walking a fine line with Congress because, well, first of all, we don't have a speaker, so we'll see what we can get done. But he's walking a fine line because many Republicans are now tired of spending money on Ukraine, which is interesting because they're usually the most hawkish. But yet many of them want to support Israel, whereas you have some progressives that say we've already spent enough bolstering Israel's military and they want to help Ukraine. So, there's all of these competing interests as far as the people that support Taiwan might not be the people that support boosting the border. The people that support boosting the border may not be the same ones that support sending a bunch more money to Ukraine. The people that support sending a bunch of money to Ukraine are probably not the same ones that want to spend a whole bunch of money supporting Israel. So what the president is doing is, by putting all this together, and we'll see if he's able to keep all of this together, is trying to push all of these different factions into supporting this major wartime expenditure. Let's go to Sydney calling us from L.A. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. I'm bringing the conversation back down to Crenshaw. Coach E has been leading the AARP LA Soul Steppers for some time. So
yes.
We talked about seniors. This last session, there were no less than 50 seniors there exercising upstairs, Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw Mall, under the leadership of Coach E. Now, at that same time, he was saying then that we have 3 more sessions, and they're going to cut it out. Again, this is a program working beautifully for the seniors here in L.A., okay? I'm going to urge people, come up there this coming Tuesday and see for yourself. But can you imagine 50, sometimes even more than that, okay? And before you start out walking, he gives you wonderful exercise tips, okay? Healthy living. He tells you stay in your own lane, do what you can do. But again, they're getting ready to cut it out.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Well, yeah, hold that thought, Sydney. I mean, as you know, I trained with Coach E for many, many years. And so I'm a big supporter of the work that he does, but also fitness and wellness and self-care, so crucial for seniors, especially those of us who are in the Black community. We'll let you land and, your call to action this morning, Sydney, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Join LA Civil Rights and the Reparations Advisory Commission's Black Experience Study live this fall. Learn about the city's plans for reparations and join the study in real time. For more information and to register, visit laisforeveryone.com today. We're celebrating 1 year of the K. From checking out the vibrant art and diverse dining in Lamert Park to cheering on your favorite team in Inglewood, you can choose your own adventure when you ride the Metro K-Line. Leave the car at home and go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
And, Sydney called me at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, and you are welcome to do the same. Sydney called about this group called the Soul Steppers, which has been for many years sponsored by AARP, led by the trainer and community activist Coach E, who I trained with for many years and was featured on my show, The Front Page, for many years, and how they're getting ready to shut it down after 3 sessions. Hopefully you guys will show up, as Sydney suggested, and let the AARP know that, you don't want this to shut down. It tracks with so much information we're getting now. Walking, just the simple act of walking for exercise, keeps people mobile and self-sufficient for many years longer, has a role in preventing Alzheimer's and other dementia-related diseases, and the list of benefits goes on and on and on. Take it away, Sydney.
Okay, again, just be aware, we're talking about in the Crenshaw area. Can you imagine seeing some 50 or more seniors walking, okay, just listening, and he's urging you to stay in your lane. In other words, do what you possibly can do. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies from my church responded to an invitation. She came, and she had been walking with her cane. And Coach E said, you know what, you have to listen to what you're actually telling yourself. And so she told herself she didn't need that cane. And surprisingly, she walked around the mall without that cane. Again, he gives you some life-affirming tips that's really important. And again, we need things like that. Again, there are some 3 sessions left. The next one is this coming Tuesday, 8 a.m., upstairs at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. Okay, come one, come all. Park upstairs. Walk up that ramp and just come see for yourself what a good program this is for seniors.
Yeah, it's free, right, Sydney?
It's free.
Yeah. I mean, we have a massive number of people aging and retiring in this country right now, the boomer generation. And losing your mobility, losing your health, losing your independence is not inevitable. It can be avoided. For some people, yeah, maybe they have, a pre-existing condition. But for many of us, the simple act of walking, the act of fellowship and human interaction, the thoughts of self-care and focus on that can make all the difference in the world. And prioritizing physical fitness and health as you get older becomes more and more important to maintain that wellness and that independence. So certainly I'll second that motion, Sydney, for everyone to come out and try to save the Soul Steppers program. Got a special guest, Finding Your Purpose, Funding Your Purpose. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to a Thursday morning. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network.